Thank you, brethren all. Most worshipful, most puissant, illustrious, most wise, sovereign, right worshipful, very worshipful brethren all. Welcome to our November working, and thank you for joining us tonight or this morning. Brethren, that was Baba Yetu, which when translated simply means our Father. I'm now going to ask of you to do the sign of reverence so that we can open with the prayer. Sign of reverence. Great Architect of the universe, we thank you for your grace and favor in trying and unprecedented times, and that in the absence of wisdom, of strength, and of beauty, there is always hope. For protecting us from this pandemic and its socioeconomic impact, we pray that the balance of the equilibrium will be restored, and that your wisdom be upon those who are designated to navigate society through these turbulent waters, and that the family and communities impacted find comfort in you and each other. We pray you bestow the manifold blessings from your inexhaustible stall upon us all. As we gather in your name, we pray for your guidance. Our discussions will be to the benefit of Freemasonry in general, and to the honor and glory of your holy name. So mote it be. And with that, the power vested in me as presiding master of Lodge Cape Town, number 138, on the roll of the Grand Lodge of South Africa, I now declare the regular meeting open. I'd just like to welcome some of our visitors. If I do miss anybody out, I do apologize. I just want to mention some of the lodges that are represented here. We do have the Grand Lodge of South Africa, ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of South Africa. From the United States, we have the Scottish Rite Northern Masonic jurisdiction, the Grand Lodge of New York in particular. I'm still expecting the Grand Lodge of Vermont. And then we have the Grand Lodge of Lebanon, including the District Grand Lodge, as well as the Grand Lodge of Bulgaria and the Grand Lodge of Manitoba in Canada. Some of the senior brethren that I'd like to recognize, the Most Wise Sovereign of La Esperance, illustrious Brother Patel, Right Worship Brother Keith Hutton from the Provincial Grand Lodge Eastern Division. He's the Provincial Grand Master. The Most Worshipful Brother Jeff Edwards, who is the Grand Secretary of the Grand Lodge of South Africa. Our Most Worshipful Brother Roger Quintana, who's the past Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of New Jersey. Most Worshipful Brother Raphael Demonian, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon. Most Worshipful Brother Plemen Mativ, past Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Bulgaria. Sorry. Yeah. The Right Worshipful Brother Tarek Issa, District Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon. Our Sovereign Grand Commander of the Northern Masonic jurisdiction, illustrious David A. Glattly, and Most Worshipful Brother William Sardone, the Grand Master of New York. With that, brethren, last but not least, I want to acknowledge Most Puissant Bout du Plessis, the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite of South Africa, will now introduce our speaker. Most Puissant. You are on mute, Most Puissant.
Thanks very much, Brother Edgar. Good day to all brethren participating in this Zoom meeting of Lodge Cape Town, and hosted by the presiding master, Worshipful Brother Edgar Baron. It is indeed a great privilege to introduce to all the participants our guest for today, illustrious Brother Dave Glattly, 33rd degree, the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite Northern Masonic jurisdiction of the United States of America. Illustrious Brother Dave joined Clifton Chapter Order of de Molay in 1970 and started his Masonic career. He served as a State Master Counselor of New Jersey of the de Molay in 1974. He joined Clifton Lodge number 203 in Clifton, New Jersey in 1975 and served as Worshipful Master in 1995. He served as a Grand Marshal of the Grand Lodge of New Jersey in the period 1998 to 1999. He also served as the Executive Officer of New Jersey de Molay from 1999 to 2004. He received his 33rd degree in 2000 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was elected and installed as an active member of the Supreme Council of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite, the Northern Masonic jurisdiction in the USA, in Boston, Massachusetts, in 2002. He served as a Scottish Rite deputy for New Jersey from 2006 until 2015. He was elected and installed as the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council, Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite Northern Masonic jurisdiction, USA, in Rochester, New York, in 2017, to serve for a 10-year term limit. Illustrious Brother David is, in the true sense of the word, also known as an inventor of programs and activities for change. And I am convinced, as so many brethren from all over the world are, that if there were a Nobel Prize for Freemasonry, he would definitely be one of the recipients for his unconditional commitment to make the world a better place, not just for us as Freemasons, but also for his commitment to programs aimed to benefit humankind. Illustrious Brother Dave is also seen and recognized throughout the Masonic world, and the Scottish Rite in particular, as a leader that changed the face of advancements or reunions in this new area where technology is applied to ensure that the aims and objectives to the benefit of new members are being met through virtual reunions. The success of these virtual events and the positive impact they have on the order is closely monitored throughout the world. In this new era where world events such as the current pandemic have a huge impact on the way that we as Freemasons can continue with our work towards creating a better world for all that live in it. It is my pleasure to know a man that is not just a man and a friend, but a true Mason with clear moral values, honor, integrity, truth, and character. I thank you, Worshipful Brother Edgar.
Thank you so much, most puissant. Before we go to our speaker, I've just omitted, but I just want to recognize as well the most worshipful Brother Michael Nicholas, the Grand Master of DC, as well as the Right Worship Brother Brandon Topham, who's our Deputy Grand Master for the Grand Lodge of South Africa. Most worshipful, Right Worshipful, most puissant, illustrious brethren, Right Worshipful, very worshipful brethren all, I present to you our speaker, the illustrious Sovereign Grand Commander of the Northern Masonic jurisdiction, David A. Glattly, 33rd degree. Most illustrious.
Thank you, Worshipful Brother Edgar. It's a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for asking me to participate here today. Illustrious Brother Boet, I am humbled by that great introduction, and it is much appreciated. I'll try to do my best to live up to that here today in this meeting. Well, most worshipful, right worshipful brothers and brothers all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you're sitting. It is a pleasure to be with you. I'm drinking my morning coffee. Some of you may be having your afternoon tea or maybe some adult beverage hidden from the camera. I bring you the greetings of the Northern Masonic jurisdiction, Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite for the United States of America. I'm speaking to you from our headquarters here in Lexington, Massachusetts, and I bring greetings to you all. Worshipful Brother Edgar asked me to speak to you regarding our Not Just a Man, a Mason campaign, which we started several years ago now. And let me just explain a little bit about the Northern Masonic jurisdiction, Scottish Rite. We are 15 states of the United States in the north. Basically, we're the Northeast. We broke off from the Southern jurisdiction, also known as the mother jurisdiction of the world, back in 1813. They started in 1801, so we were the bad boys that ran away from home in 1813 and started our own jurisdiction. There was a team that got together from the north and met with the south, and the southern jurisdiction said, you can have 14 states in the territory of Wisconsin with the agreement that you never ever expand. So for those 200 plus years, we've honored that agreement and we never expanded. So if you just take go to the left of Wisconsin and Illinois along the Mississippi River and make a hard right over to Delaware, those are the 15 states that encompass the Northern Masonic jurisdiction. And as other states came into the Union after 1813, they all became Southern jurisdiction states. And many people get confused as to why North Dakota and Alaska are Southern jurisdiction. So that's why we've honored that agreement since 1813. Of course, then Wisconsin became a state, so we have 15 states. As far as population, we are not far off considering the fact that the Southern jurisdiction has 35 states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and any of the American territories, because we have some of the larger population states. Right now, the largest Masonic states in the United States in order by number of Masons are Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, Illinois, and Indiana. And 4 of those 5 are in the Northern Masonic jurisdiction. So that kind of keeps our size. We are about 100,000 members, just a pinch below that right now in the Northern jurisdiction. And if I had to guess, because I don't know exactly, I'd say the Southern jurisdiction is maybe about 130,000 members. And that encompasses the membership of Scottish Rite in the United States. So where do I come from? Well, you heard illustrious Brother Boet say that I joined Clifton D. Millay in 1970, and that started my Masonic career. And that's very true. I give credit to D. Millay because I might have joined Masonry later than that, but that certainly brought me in. So I often say that I'm just a D. Millay boy from Clifton, New Jersey. And I like using that line. It gives D. Millay a little plug. And, of course, we're big supporters of D. Millay here. As a matter of fact, on our staff right now, including me, we have 10 past state master counselors of the various states of D. Millay. And they weren't brought in here because they were D. Millay. They were brought in here because they're very talented in what they do. And we just happen to know the D. Millay people. I'm sure Grandmaster Sardone will mention that if he gets a chance, because he's also a past state master counselor of New York D. Millay. So anyway, to get to the Not Just a Man, a Mason campaign and how it started. Well, it started with my predecessor, the illustrious John William McNaughton, Sovereign Grand Commander. And he was interested to find out if Masonry is still a viable organization in today's world. And he wanted to write a book about it. And so the Supreme Council hired a survey company called Cerconi Brown, based right near us in Boston, Massachusetts. Lexington is only 10 miles from Boston, Massachusetts. And this Cerconi Brown did a professional survey. And they surveyed men between 25 and 65 across the United States and asked them various questions about basically what Masonry stands for. They did not know this was about Freemasonry. All they knew, they were answering questions about things that Freemasonry stands for. And that survey results came back really in a positive way and caused Commander McNaughton to write a book. And I brought a copy of it here, which is from my bookshelf, and it's called Reclaiming the Soul of Freemasonry. And that book is available on our website. So the book is one thing, but what we found in the survey is that 40% of the men that were surveyed said they would certainly join an organization that had the qualities and the core values and everything that they were interviewed about. And 20% more said they might consider joining an organization such as what they were answering the survey about. So if you add those two numbers together, that's 60% of the eligible men in the United States of America that would be interested or very much want to join an organization such as Freemasonry. And that's a very interesting result from a survey. And this is a professional survey. This is what this company does. So what it told us was that there's nothing wrong with Freemasonry. Let me say it again. There is absolutely nothing wrong with Freemasonry. We don't have to change anything. All we need to do is market ourselves better. And that's what the Northern jurisdiction took upon ourselves. We said, now that we know the results of the survey, and there had been surveys done years previously. There was a Gallup survey that was done actually by the Valley of Chicago Scottish Rite. And there was another one, I don't recall the name of it, but again, another professional survey that basically came with the same results, that there's really nothing wrong with Freemasonry. But the problem with the earlier surveys is no one did anything about it. So we took it upon ourselves here in the Northern jurisdiction to do something about it, to do something for Freemasonry. So we developed our campaign and we called it Not Just a Man, a Mason. And this campaign provides videos. We have 2 videos that we have out there now that are available to talk about, just a quick video to show what Freemasonry is, to get people excited about it. It also excites our members to see a video about Freemasonry and the good that it is doing. And all of our states in the Northern Masonic jurisdiction got involved with this right away. We presented it as soon as the campaign was ready. We presented it to our 15 Grand Masters, and they all said yes right away. And some of the states are using it exclusively. Some of the states are using it along with their own programs. But what we found is that there were so many men interested in joining Scottish Rite because we put this out there, and which brought about another, for instance. We had to reject a lot of applications to Scottish Rite because they were not Master Masons. So we had to come up with another plan. What do we do with all these men that we've interested in Freemasonry, rather than just send them to a Grand Lodge site? We've got to come up with another plan. And on that site, we explained Freemasonry the way we want it explained. Some lunatic in a lodge talking about Freemasonry, not someone from one of the organizations that's against Freemasonry. We've kind of gained control of the what Freemasonry is. And on the site, we answer the questions the way we all want them answered. And that site then, and the interesting part is we got partners. We immediately got the Shriners International interested and partnering with us on it, sharing in the cost and helping with the development. And then as the Southern jurisdiction changed sovereign grand commanders to illustrious brother Jim Cole, we approached Commander Cole and said, would you like to be part of this also? And they signed on financially and helpfully. And it was near the end and we were just about ready to go with it. And Commander Cole said to me, Dave, why do you want us on here now that the train has already left the station? You've already got this done. And I said, Jim, it's very important for you to stand with me and the Imperial Potentate and announce this to the Conference of Grand Masters of North America. We need to be united in this program. And so Jim signed on, And last February at the Conference of Grand Masters of North America, the three of us stood in front of all of the Grand Masters or their representatives of all the Grand Lodges in North America, plus the other visitors that were in town. And we presented the program. And on the site, which is very important, if you're interested, if you find this information on the site and you're interested in becoming a Freemason, what you need to do is there's a very simple area there where you put your general information, your name, your email address, and where you live, and press I want more information on a button, and boom. And you know where that goes? That goes to whatever Grand Lodge that this man, not a brother yet, this man resides in. So the Grand Lodges are getting these leads, not us. We don't touch them. And as a matter of fact, the Shrine headquarters office is the one distributing this, on their part. That's part of their partnership with us. And so all of this goes out to the Grand Lodges. And now it's up to the Grand Lodges to follow through. Now, I have here today's report. I get this weekly from a combination of our staff and the Shrine. And as of today, we have had 5,817 men that have sent their name into the various Grand Lodges in North America to get more information on being a Freemason. And each state is broken down here throughout the 50 states. I can tell you that the Northern Masonic jurisdiction has 4,008 of those leads, and the Southern jurisdiction has 1,809 of those leads. And we know what the difference is. We have quite a social media marketing program to go along with it here in the Northern 15 states, and that is pushing it along. The Southern states don't have that marketing program yet. And we did slow down when the pandemic hit. You realize we launched this on March 1st, and look what happened by the end of March, the pandemic hit. So some of the Grand Lodge secretaries, some that have 700 and 800 leads here, have said, please stop, slow it down. And what an interesting case that is, right? Slow down. Don't give us any more leads for Freemasonry right now. We can't, we just can't handle it right now. So we do have all these people in the queue, so to speak. Many have been contacted by the Grand Lodges. Some haven't been contacted yet. So we don't know the full results of this program. We're not going to know for another year or two, depending upon when the pandemic ends and people are allowed to do that. But this does look super promising for Masonry. And I'm very proud that we have partnership with the Southern Jurisdiction, Scottish Rite, and Shriners International to help make this happen, because none of our three organizations would exist if Blue Lodge Freemasonry doesn't thrive. And we all know our roots. We all know we came from Freemasonry. We all know we have valuable appendant bodies, but without the Blue Lodge and Freemasonry, we are nothing. So that's why our great support of Blue Lodges. I tell people I'm a D Malay guy, I'm a Grand Lodge guy, and I'm a Scottish Rite guy. Without the three, I wouldn't have a reason for being, in the fraternity. Not take anything away from York Rite, and believe me, I belong to everything. You don't want to know how many dues I pay. I belong to everything. It was just the right thing to do as I was coming along. Do I have time to attend everything? Heck no. I attend what I can. But I do belong to everything. I believe in all the organizations, but my focus obviously right now is Scottish Rite, but I never forget my D Malay and Blue Lodge roots. So that's where we are with not just a man, a Mason. We do actually have a third video that we have on the shelf. We haven't shown off yet. We were planning on doing it, letting that one loose this year at the Conference of Grand Masters, but we're going to hold it back a little bit because the conference is now postponed or canceled or move to Zoom. We are waiting to hear that officially today. This was the go or no-go date, but we heard through the grapevine that it won't take place in Seattle as planned. So we'll probably be given a spot to do a presentation, which from the northern jurisdiction, which we will. But as far as in person, it's not taking place this year. It normally be in February. I'm open for questions, but I will tell you a little bit about what illustrious Brother Boet said, that Scottish Rite-wise, in order to reach out to our members, we've utilized social media and especially Zoom, as everybody here has done, getting into Zoom. I wrote in my recent article that we never heard of Zoom before unless you read the Batman comics or whatever. That's where the word Zoom used to appear all the time. But now we all know Zoom very well, and it's done a great job for our fraternity for getting together. So we decided back in the midst of this that we should do something to keep our members in touch with us on the Scottish Rite end. So we started Thursday night at the Rite, and every Thursday night, because we do have available 14 of our 29 Scottish Rite degrees are on video. Thank you for the people before us that got that done, because we're utilizing that. So every Thursday night, we showed another one of our degrees, and it was only members could check in. It was secure by members signing in. They had to put their member number in order to gain access. And we did have some guests sign in. I did share it with some Southern jurisdiction, Supreme Council people, with our brothers up in Canada, et cetera. They were able to sign in and to watch these degrees. And they became very popular. One night alone, we had 3,500 Scottish Rite Masons watching a degree. So as that time went on, we said, what if this COVID situation still exists in the fall? What are we going to do? Because the normal spring reunions didn't take place because people couldn't get together. So we can't really have another season without new members. So we came up with the idea of a virtual reunion. And we put together 3 of them. And as it turned out, we did pull the trigger on them and set them out there. 2 have taken place, and our 3rd one will be on November 14th. And what we do is we show the 4th degree, which makes you a Scottish Rite Mason in the northern jurisdiction. And our rules are, you must see 3 other degrees, all of which have core values in them, before you can see the 32nd degree. So we decided not to show the 32nd degree. So each of these reunions show the 4th degree and 3 other degrees. And we had enough where each of these reunions showed different degrees other than the 4th, and made all of these brothers eligible to receive the 32nd degree, which we hope they will be able to do at some time soon in their home valleys. We do have the 32nd degree on video, but we chose not to show it at this point, hoping that the home turf valleys can do something with the 32nd degree. And we've had 2 of these reunions so far, and the total number of candidates or new members we brought in right now is 798 and counting. So it's our goal was 1,000. We're going to hit that on or about November 14th. So it's been very successful. Is it the best way to bring a member in? No. Home turf, live degrees, maybe combined with video degrees, et cetera, is probably, is the best way. But because we can't do it any other way right now, this is what we've decided to do. And I know several Grand Lodges are in our northern jurisdiction are coming up with ways to bring members in virtually or in a special way than the normal. It's all of us adapting right now to what needs to be done. So with that, I'll open up to questions, worshipful Brother Edgar, if that's what you'd like me to do.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, illustrious Glattly. I think I'd like to give our most puissant Duplessis an opportunity to respond, since you've pulled him into the comments, and then I'm sure that our most worshipful Brother Bill Sodone after may have something to add, and then I think we'll open up to general questions. Most puissant Duplessis. You're on mute, most puissant.
Thanks, Brother Edgar. And it's clear that in my introduction, I were not very far off on the initiatives that is taken by Brother Dave and the Northern Masonic jurisdiction. And it definitely, it's opening up a debate. And that debate is not just in the US. I think that debate is becoming a debate at the international level. Is on the end of the day, how do we continue fulfilling our obligation towards the candidates and those that seek admission to the order, you know? My only one question that I will have is to Brother Dave is that should things change and the pandemic towards the end of next year is something of the past, do you think then that Zoom and the electronic formatting, not just for reunions, but for the interaction, will be a mechanistic tool that will stay with us forever in the future to ensure that we keep in touch with the brethren?
Illustrious sir, yes. I think that even once we're back fully together the way we call normal, I think there's still a need to continue the Zoom meetings. I attend Zoom meetings with my lodge, which I wouldn't normally be able to do because it's 4 hours away from me right now. And there are many brothers from the distance and those that are unable physically to attend meetings that do attend through Zoom. So I feel that once things are back to normal, a certain number of Zoom meetings should continue to keep in touch with those brothers, like I just mentioned. And I had a meeting with our 15 state deputies, which are the leaders of each state, on Friday. And they asked me about the future of our plans for doing any more virtual reunions. And right now they feel that we should at least plan on doing virtual reunions at least twice a year. And, you know, to back up the valleys. And, you know, of course, you know, we want everyone to get back in their home buildings and be able to do things. But they're also mentioning that we should continue some of this stuff virtually. And even our Thursday night at the Rite, we're going to put it back in January because many of our members like it. And one thing we do in our jurisdiction is we give each member a passport. And the passport gets stamped with each degree that they see. And so it's kind of a hook to get members to attend different reunions, et cetera, to get their passport book filled. If they do, then they get a gold passport. And they were said, well, what's beyond that? So actually we came up with a pocket jewel. They get their gold passport filled and they get a pocket jewel. We said no more passports, not a platinum passport or anything else. You know, two and done, and then a pocket jewel. But we have a lot of members that pursue that and virtually would be able to help them fill their passport. But I think Zoom meetings are going to stick with us for the future, no matter what happens.
Thanks very much, Brother Dave.
Thank you, illustrious Glattly and most puissant Duplessis. I'd now like to recognize the Grand Master of New York, most worshipful Brother William Sodone.
Thank you very much. My title for today is I'm just a DeMolay boy from New York City. Even though Commander Glattly is younger than I am, despite any rumors, I did not babysit Jacques DeMolay 700 years ago. I still am going strong here today. Yeah, DeMolay is a strong part, and New York has embraced the program that Commander Glattly has put out. he has put together a dream team of DMLA, senior DMLAs in his staff, as I have done as well in New York. And what I had done in New York is I had put together a campaign of our own, and then the campaign of Scottish Rite came out, and they collided. And normally we have about 700 and change candidates a year. I now have 2,800 that are sitting out there. And what we did is we took an opportunity during the pandemic to utilize the Zoom, and some lodges wanted to use other platforms, but the bottom line is they were virtual. And the virtual opportunities have opened up new doors for us. Now, if I had said in February to my Grand Lodge members, I think I'd like to do some meetings on Zoom or virtual, they would have been counting the days until I was out of office. But now they are looking at it, and it's broken through another barrier that we had about using the virtual opportunities. I'm not saying that we reveal everything on it, but there's still opportunities to stay together, especially during the winter months. And some of our elderly members are starting to get a hold of this. And people say the elderly members don't get to know technology. I don't believe that at all, because if it weren't for FaceTime, if it weren't for other things, they would never get to see their grandchildren. And we have a lot of them now that are doing birthday parties, anniversaries, virtually on technology of platforms like this. But Commander Glattly and I sat when I was the Grand Master DMLA in Buffalo, and he told me about this program that they were putting together and what they were coming out with, and that they had a survey. And if there's one thing I remember about all the many, 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 many Grand Lodge sessions that I've gone to, is every Grand Master holds up a chart of here's where we're going. We had a survey done that's going to say, here's where we're going to be in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. And it was always at the bottom of the chart on the other side. And finally, they say, but we're going to do another survey, and we're going to see if it's really true or not. Well, every survey came back out with the same thing. So when I became Grand Master, I said, I'm putting all my eggs in Commander Glattly's basket here, because what you need to do is, first of all, you need to trust the individual. And I've known Commander Glattly for a number of years. We think alike. We have the same opportunities to either grow and be innovative or sit idle. And I decided to embrace the program of the Scottish Rite Northern Masonic jurisdiction. And then I got the bright idea to add another one internally, just to see if I could boost it up a bit. And what I did is I took a look at the two numbers that were coming in, the names of those coming in. Were they the same as the ones that Scottish Rite sent me? And was mine the same as the other ones? Were they the same individual? And believe it or not, the percentage of those who were on both lists was minor, maybe 1 or 2%. Now, my problem is, on my own, I got 5,000 names that came in. Out of the 5,000, 821 lived in other countries. 1,000 lived in other states. Some of them, when we got in touch with them, it just wasn't a fit. And then we whittled it down to 2,800 that are actively pursuing becoming Masons. Now, we're not doing any virtual degrees, but as Grand Master, I have the latitude to allow dispensations to do large degrees. We're not a one-day class type of jurisdiction. We had a one-day class in 2004. The numbers went way up. Our NPDs 2 years later were high, and the year after that, the admission of those that came in wasn't a lot, because everybody squeezed them into that one-day class, and we just never did a good job. So we're still a believer in the one-at-a-time degrees. And we are now doing them. And as everybody knows, I have rewritten our ritual to be a pandemic-type ritual. It's entirely different. The obligations are there. The story is there. But it is contactless. It is non-blindfolded. It is non-costume. It's all different. And everybody's saying that it is sacrilege what Sardone is doing in New York. Well, my view is that George Washington never went through a degree, and a lot of our forefathers never went through degrees. They became Masons because they were good men of good heart, good character. And the Masonic experience does happen through the Masonic degrees, but it happens even more so when you become a Mason and embraced by the members of your lodge and the concordant bodies such as Scottish Rite. And that's where the Masonic degrees and experience really grows. So we have gone in that direction, and we have changed it. And as a result of that, the dispensations I'm giving for 16 and 20 to go through degrees at one time, I've been granting. Now, you got to have a room big enough. You have to have acreage, you have to have opportunities. So sometimes they have to run them through 2 or 3 times to do it to maintain the social distancing. Regarding Commander Glattly's comment about the 32nd degree, yeah, we're having a problem with that only because the governor says you can have just so many in a room. And I've gotten slammed by a few members that's saying that I've rolled over and I'm listening to the governor. I should be doing what I want to do. And I don't think that's really what I'm going to do. I don't think I'm going to go knock on Governor Cuomo's door and tell him, I don't care what you say, I'm going to have 1,000 people in the room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do what the governor says, which, by the way, is part of our obligation, is to obey city, state, and nation laws. So we're having a difficult time because the 32nd degree draws hundreds and hundreds of individuals to an event in New York. And while we have the space to do it, we have rooms that hold 2,000 and 3,000. The governor says you can't have more than 50 people at a time. So I've left it over. I've left them the latitude for Scottish Rite. I will work with them. I'll open up buildings. I'll do whatever they need. I'll put up tents, but it's still the number is the thing that's going to do it. And if you look at what's going on, some of these numbers are going backwards. And as a result of that, we need to adjust and be flexible to move along. But the good things that we have going on is that during this pandemic, the men who are contacting us are lonely. And they're lonely in real life because in real life, they've gone to work with AirPods on. They've sat at their laptops all day. They probably eat lunch at their desk. They put their AirPods on and commute back home. And then they probably watch Netflix at night and binge on Star Trek. So we are now giving them the opportunity of having individuals that they can talk to. One of the other campaigns that we're now trying to buy a list for is to buy a list for those individuals that are now going to be, those companies that are now going to be having individuals work remotely. And most companies now are looking at the fact that they can now get a job done and not have people in the office, which means less real estate, which means turning back leases, which means fortifying people to work at home. We've gone through this cycle a number of times over the years, and AT&T and everybody, when everybody wanted to reduce real estate. But now, if you're working at home, you're not even seeing the people on the bus, the subway, in the office, in the cafeteria, in the ladies' room, the men's rooms, anywhere. And now those people are even lonelier. So now what we're looking to do is try and see if we can capture a list of companies that are downsizing their footprint, which means they're sending individuals home to work. And what do? They pay for their internet at home. That's a lot cheaper than square footage in New York City. They pay for their cell phone, a lot cheaper than square footage in New York City. But now these people are sitting at home. And when do they get the chance to go out? Well, maybe they can get the chance to go out to a Masonic lodge. And that's the next level that we're going after. I'm running out of runway, though. I have about 6 months left, and we're trying to see what we can do. But our Grand Lodge session is going to be kind of interesting. We're looking at 30 different locations with about 50 people in them each, and hopefully we can get it to work, and it'll be live broadcast. Other than that, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you so much, most worshipful Brother Sudon. Whenever you comment, it's like being a fisherman, and you throw a lure in the water, and I'm always tempted to break protocol, but not today. I would like to open up to.
By the way, I'm not a protocol type guy. I mean, I'm a believer that rules are there for when the brains run out. So if you got something to say it, and if it's good, we can use it. But I don't want somebody to sit there and say, I had an idea, but it's against protocol. I want to hear all ideas. I answer every person that gets a hold of me, I get back to them.
Thank you, most worshipful Sodom. I want to open up the floor to questions and comments, giving preference to our more senior brethren, with the exception of our most worshipful Brother Edwards, who will have the closing comment and thank you. Brethren, the floor is open. You can just simply raise your hand and I will acknowledge you. I don't see any hands. Sounds not even possible. Okay, most worshipful Brother Tamanyan, you are recognized.
illustrious brother Glattly, most worshipful brothers, right worshipful brothers, they don't want this opportunity to go by without me saying anything. That's why I don't really have any questions for illustrious Glattly. I just wanted him to know that I very much enjoyed the Thursday night at the Rite, and I attended every meeting. So I'm expecting my passport. I thought maybe I can get a platinum one, but I just heard right now that
No.
I will. It's okay. It's okay. All right. I just also wanted to say that within our lodges in Lebanon, we have just about 50 Scottish Rite Masons who belong to the Valley of New York. So God willing, sometime soon, I will be in touch with Glattly and see how we can do something a bit different in Lebanon. And also, I'd like to announce that one of our brothers, who is actually present now, he is going through the degrees virtually. So we will have that experience as well. And from what I hear from him, he was very pleased and with the way things were going. So that's about it. I don't really have anything else to say other than thank you so much. And keep doing what you're doing. It's really working. We need more good men to become Masons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Most Worshipful Brother Timonian. I see the hand from Most Worshipful Brother Nicholas, the Grand Master of Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Worshipful Brother Barron. Every time I listen to Most Worshipful Brother Sardone speak, I steal about 3 of his ideas, so I appreciate that, Most Worshipful. Illustrious David, thank you for the presentation. I've always been a big fan. It doesn't work so much for us in DC only because we're so small, and about 70% of our membership is from Virginia and Maryland, and so that's where those requests go to. However, are you still doing the marketing piece where you were allowing Grand Lodges to send to you information and then you would brand it belonging to that specific Grand Lodge?
Yes, Most Worshipful Sir, we are. And that can, you can access that about, I'm trying to think of the site now, notjustaman.org. And that comes in here and we will rebrand it with your Grand Lodge website or whatever you want on there. But that's the site you go to. It comes here and our people will mark it up, any of the materials, any way you want them.
Okay, thank you very much. As Most Worshipful Sardone mentioned, I'm running out of runway also, but I'd like to close that deal before my time's up. So thank you.
Sure. And say hello to Len Proden for me.
I will do so. Thank you.
He's the SGIG for the Southern Jurisdiction for the District of Columbia, and a good person. Let me just add on about the 32nd degree that Most Worshipful Brother Sardone mentioned, because of the fact it's a lot of people. Even in the degree itself, if it's done live, you're talking about a lot of people on the stage, you know, that just couldn't happen nowadays. At our deputies meeting on Friday, the deputies asked me about the future of that. What are we going to do? And will we do it virtually, the 32nd degree? And it is a possibility. And right now I'm looking at it a probability that we'll set up a date sometime in late spring, maybe do 2 showings of the 32nd degree on virtually, so people can watch it at home and get the 32nd degree. Is it something we want to do? No, but it might become what our members want. So right now, our next deputies meeting is set for January, and I told our deputies, you tell me then if you want it, and our staff will make it happen. So that's where we are with the 32nd degree.
Thank you so much, illustrious Glattly and Most Worshipful Nicholas. Are there any other questions or comments from the floor? Yeah, I recognize Most Prescott DBC.
Brother Edgar, I just want to check with Brother Glattly and Brother Sardone. that in amending and changing the format of your rituals and also the format of the reunions, was there a need also to revive certain bylaws or certain of your constitutional paragraphs to make sure that that degree is recognized in the electronic format?
I'll take that one first for you, Bill. I know Grand Lodge has their own rules and constitution, but our constitution didn't say anything that we couldn't do any video degrees. And thank God it was written so many years ago that it doesn't say we can't, so we interpreted that we can. So that's the way Scottish Rite interpreted it, but I'll leave it up to the Grand Lodge in New York on their side.
Yeah, we are not doing any degrees via video. We're still doing live degrees. What we have done is we have changed the contact portion of it. We have changed the fact that we have an exemplar now going through the degrees. Every jurisdiction has its own constitution, and while they're basically kind of similar, some do have dramatic stopgaps in them that pertain to certain things. Ritual is not in our constitution. Actually, ritual is kind of like at the whim of what the Grand Master wants to do. Now, I have a lot of whims, but what I do is I bring a lot of people into the room to discuss them ahead of time. I bring smart individuals and surround them. We had a lot of conversation about it. And the bottom line is we have a choice. We can either stand still and do nothing, or we try and do something. And the fact that we're trying to do something has energized the morale of the jurisdiction and galvanized them towards the fact that we're trying to bring individuals in. What I have said to them is that just think of the opportunity. I mean, we have men who joined during wars. We have men who have joined during other disasters. We have men joining during a pandemic. And we're actually able to bring them in and embrace them into the fold, because the lodges are meeting. Every lodge room has a different capacity of what it can hold. You know, we should have probably bought stock in blue painter's tape, because we are taping every one of our rooms to show 6 feet apart in every place you can be. Some rooms can hold 15, others can hold a full 50 without any issue at all. But in the situations of the lodges that want to join, they need to hold it to 15. If the 16th person comes, they have to stand outside or go somewhere else. And we don't fool around when it comes to that. But what we are doing is a tremendous amount of outreach to the communities afterwards. We're doing food drives. On November 14th, I'm giving away 200 turkeys with Mariana Rivera in New Rochelle, New York. And we have families coming in, and we're giving them a huge box. It's going to be filled with all of the trimmings of a turkey Thanksgiving dinner. We have 200 that we have donated, and we're going to be giving them out. And who's going to be out there boxing them, packaging them, and carrying them? All the new members that we had to join and their families. And what I've also done is I've created 2 other opportunities. I still am collecting model trains. I will have a model railroading club in probably 3 different locations throughout the state, where men, families, children can come in and build these trains. And I also have a contest going on of who can build the best Masonic cathedral out of Legos. So there's things that you can do that are not at the lodge, but engage. And by the way, let me tell you something. Even when COVID is over, and people tell me they want to wait until COVID is over, and I keep asking them, what is that date? I want to write that down. You got the date? I have my pen here. I want to write down when it is, because when it is, I want to plan towards it. Well, nobody knows when it is. And when it's over, I'm not even sure that there's going to be confidence in individuals to still come back full force. Some will, some won't. So we need to be there and be ready for it. But the bottom line is these things that I'm coming up with are no different than when I was a young Mason in DMLA. You need to plan for things that are outside the lodge meeting. You need to plan for things that are outside what you do. Coming to lodge meetings is good. Engaging outside in a social atmosphere is also good. And that's what we're doing here in New York. And the bottom line is we can do it socially distanced. But would I like to have everybody back together again, doing it the old-fashioned way? Absolutely. One thing you have to know is that ritual has not been with us forever. Ritual came on at some later time in Masonic history. In fact, when I became a Mason, the penalties were not symbolic. My vows were, you will have your throat ripped. Now it's you will symbolically. So ritual has been changed over the years to adjust to the times. And I would imagine there'll be a lot more adjusting to the times as times go on with certain things that are happening in society. But we need to be flexible, creative, and innovative in how we do things. We're not going to videos for our degrees. I don't actually see that happening. I see that we're still going to be doing them the pandemic way at this point in New York. And by the way, the ritual that I put out is adjustable. If we find that it isn't working, we'll change it. And I don't need a committee. There's an old saying here that a camel is really a horse designed by a committee. So I don't really need a committee to do things. I just need a couple of smart people, and we bounce things off.
Thank you so much, Paul Sodon. My internet seems to be unstable. I thought that I'd lost everybody there for a minute, but I see that we're all back.
Oh, I can say it all over again. I'd be happy to.
I think we got most of it. Is there any other comments or questions for our speaker? I can't see anything at the moment, and my controls seem to be acting up. So if you want to unmute yourself, if you have a question, I can certainly allow that. Any further questions?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. A question for.
Sorry, I didn't. Could you repeat the question, please?
Eve, we can't hear you. Oh, here he goes. He's going to go in with his Game Boy outfit. No, go.
About now.
Okay. Now we can hear you.
You hear me? Okay. All right. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you are. My name is Yves Etienne, Grand Commander of the state of New York. This question goes to Grand Commander Glattly. Is there any constitution or a paragraph or somewhere that says when a brother just joined Freemasonry, automatically they cannot join a Scottish Rite or any other bodies?
There are some Grand Lodges that have a time limit from the time you become a Master Mason to the time you're allowed to join an appendant body. And I know Grand Lodge jurisdictions, some have a 6-month rule and some don't. That's much what I'm aware of.
Okay. Nice to see you again.
Good also.
All right. So let's say that a brother joined a Freemasonry 6 months and they move to another state. Is that will be an issue that they cannot join the other? I know it depends on the state regulation.
Oh, sure. If they're a Master Mason in good standing, they're welcome into Scottish Rite. Scottish Rite no longer has a ballot box that they used to have or anything else. If they're a Master Mason in good standing, they're accepted into Scottish Rite in a Northern Masonic jurisdiction. And even if they move to a different state. If they move to the southern jurisdiction and want to join the northern jurisdiction, they just have to get permission from the southern jurisdiction to do that. I just had a question in Maryland from Scottish Rite in Maryland. They said the Valley of the Cumberland, I believe it is, and Maryland's a southern jurisdiction state. They said they have several members from lower Pennsylvania that want to join there. And the secretary sent me a letter and said their SGIG said they must have my permission. And I said, let me say this. I said, wherever a brother wants to join Scottish Rite, I think it's important you join Scottish Rite. You don't have to ask me. If a Pennsylvania member wants to join in Maryland, go right ahead. If a Maryland member wants to join in the north, I would hope they would say the same thing. They're welcome. And whether you're in a southern jurisdiction or northern jurisdiction, once you're a member, you're welcome to watch each other's degrees. They're all different.
Definitely.
Or different, but you're more than welcome to sit in and watch degrees. And we have a lot of states that border like that. So, yeah.
Thank you, Grand Commander. I never had a chance to say congratulations to you. I would like to say it now. Thank you again. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you also.
Thank you, Brother Etienne. I'd like to recognize the Deputy Grand Master of South Africa, Right Bishop Brother Topic.
Virtual Master, thank you. First, on behalf of Lodge Kohinoor and its Virtual Master, I send his apologies and the greetings of our Lodge. We have an official yet today, but many of our members are still in office. Our Lodge is scheduled to be later this evening, but we send greetings and thank you for this opportunity. The speakers, I've really enjoyed listening to the presentation, again, well, from a different angle again today. And I just wanted to comment on the website via freemason.org. I think it's very well put together, nice and simply put. And I've asked my 18-year-old and my 20-year-old son, who aren't biting about Freemason to the, as I would like, to have a look at it to give me their opinion. So maybe it might be the straw that pushes them over the edge and ask me the question in due course. But if you don't mind, I think we may borrow some of the ideas to use here in South Africa.
Thank you, Right Bishop Brother Topham. I think that thumbs up was permission to go ahead and do exactly that. Okay,
one
brother.
last thing, Virtual Master, just
Yes.
for most Virtual Brother Jeff, I like this interpretation of if it don't say you can't, you can. I think it's better to use interpretation. If it doesn't say you can, you can't.
I have some members that disagree with me, but what the heck?
Don't forget, when our constitutions were written, the word streaming meant you went fishing.
True story. All right. Thank you, brother. I will now. All right, that was just a thumbs up. I thought that was a hand there. Thank you so much for the comments and the responses. I will now recognize the most worshipful brother Jeff Edwards, who's our past Grand Master and also the Grand Secretary for the Grand Lodge of South Africa, for some closing comments and thank yous. Most worshipful Edwards.
Thank you, worshipful brother Barrett. I look at this pandemic and the months that have gone past, and it seems remarkable to me that in amongst this whole international disaster, there's still some things that are so good. And the fact that we've been able to share with people like yourselves, illustrious Brother Glattly, your presentation was extremely interesting. I don't think the problem is whether people had questions. It was more a matter of where do you start, because you left an awful lot there that could be examined, and I'm very, very conscious of the fact that Most Puissant Brother Buttu Pasi is already exploring much of it with you. I believe that we as an organization have benefited greatly by the Zoom interactions that we've had over the last few months. They have reset a great deal of our thinking, and they forced us to look at things differently, and that's good, and it's important, and it's valuable. As with Most Worshipful Brother Bill Sardone, I think that a lot of it is going to stay. Just what, just how, I'm not sure yet. I think we'll really feel our way into it when we get past this point. and we start to see what reaction we get when we ask our brethren to go back to the way it was before. Because some will, some won't, and they've all got to be catered for. I've thoroughly enjoyed this session, as I have with all of them. Brother Brandon passed a comment just now, which amused me. The one I really prefer is the one that says it's a lot easier to get forgiveness than it is to get permission. And I think that pretty well sums it up. Wish Brother Edgar, I thank you and your lodge for arranging this afternoon, and to illustrious Brother Glattly and most worshipful Brother Sardone for your inputs. As always, they're greatly appreciated. And to all of the brethren that have taken part, thank you for sharing and assisting us as a Grand Lodge to progress along with you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Most Worshipful Brother Edwards. Again, I just want to recognize and thank you for your time. Also acknowledge our speaker, the illustrious Sovereign Grand Commander David A. Glattly, Most Worshipful Brother Bill Sardone from New York, Most Worshipful Brother Clem Teeve, Most Right Worshipful Brother Tariq Issa, Most Worshipful Brother Rafi Timonian, Most Worshipful Brother Nicholas from the Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia as well, and our Deputy Grand Master, the Right Worshipful Brother Brandon Topham, for spending the time with us as well.